The best way to see the future of fitness is to speak with people who are making the future happen. And Eric Malzone from the Future of Fitness podcast does exactly that. As the host, he's interviewed some serious movers and shakers in the industry. And in our episode, I ask him to aggregate all of that knowledge his guests have shared over the years and then gaze into a crystal ball to give his take on what he sees as the future for our industry. This certainly is a thought-provoking episode, and it'll start in less than 2 minutes.
Welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast with your host, Justin Tamzett. With over 30 years in the fitness industry, JT is a globally recognised authority with a mission to lower healthcare costs worldwide by getting more people moving and moving more often in quality facilities with qualified professionals. Every episode, JT digs deep with our guests to bring you insights that will help you lead, innovate, and boost your bottom line. So let's dive in. Take it away, JT.
Are you loving the new format in Season 4? Well, we'd love to hear from you. So drop me an email, jt@fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, with your thoughts, or drop us a review on Apple or Spotify. We did receive feedback on Spotify from Corey. He said, bought Spotify Premium to eliminate the ads, but every playlist on the channel has quite a few ads. It's annoying. Unfortunately, Corey, Spotify's ad policy for podcasts is different from music. They still run ads, even for the premium users. This isn't something we can control. We do offer ad-free episodes, Corey, on our Patreon platform. For less than $5 a month, you can get ad-free episodes, 7-day early access, and you'll be supporting the show. Actually, speaking of Spotify and supporting us, we'd love a review. It'll take you less than 30 seconds, and I promise, if you hit pause, you'll not miss a second of this episode. Spotify listeners, tap the podcast title at the top to open the show page. Scroll up to About and tap it. Tap the rating count and leave your 5 stars. Of course, it's 5 stars. Apple Podcast listeners, tap the podcast title at the top. Scroll down to the bottom to ratings and reviews. Tap write a review. Rate us, again, of course, with 5 stars. Why wouldn't you? And you can even write a small review for us. Then just tap submit. It's time for our Season 4 giveaway.
The FBP community might just want a fresh new voice. I'm Zoe and the Future Fitness Business podcast host. You have the chance to win a $100 Amazon voucher to grow your professional library. Here's how it works. After the main interview, I'll drop a secret code word. Once you hear it, head over to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com/code word. Pop in the code and tell us in 30 words or less why you love the podcast. All right, let's get on to the main interview.
Eric is a ripper guy, and he has so much cumulative knowledge based on his podcast, Future of Fitness. There's a link in our show notes to his podcast. And his other projects, including placing people on podcasts, helping with people start podcasts, and soon growing podcasts. So hit up the show notes if you want to work with Eric or see any of his details. Now, when I was prepping for the interview, I looked through all of the Future of Fitness podcasts and saw how many topics Eric has covered. Well, recently there's only been one, AI. So I kick off with the most exciting and realistic use of AI we're going to see in the fitness industry over the next 12 months.
So I think there's core pieces that I've isolated, and recently I hosted 2 panels at the Athletech event where we specifically talked about AI. I think there's the bread and butter of what we're seeing right now, which is acquisition, engagement, and retention. So acquiring new members, making sure those members are engaged in the services that you provide, and then retaining those members, right? And there's a lot of great companies. We can talk about them. An advisor for V as well. So I want to throw that out there, which is this. I'm going to talk about them a lot because I think they're a great example and want to let people know transparently that I do advise for them. Sales support. So companies like Sales Rev, Speed to Lead, as they say, type things, where it's like, how do we make sure that timing between the first contact through to a sale as streamlined as possible? A really interesting one is online reviews. We'll probably talk about that more. So SEO is kind of dying slowly, but yet quickly.
Yep.
In the matter of like, people aren't using Google to search things anymore. They're using ChatGPT or whatever their generative AI tool or LLM is that they like. So that's how people are starting to change. And that's significant. So that means that Google reviews or any kind of online reviews are becoming more important. And then of course, like personalization, I think the hyper personalized journey of each particular member is very up for grabs right now. I was talking to Dr. Gloria Winters about this today in preparation for this. I'm like, hey, is there a tool like this that exists? And there's a couple other ones where imagine like AI just drives everything from your personalized data to your goals, to your nutrition, to your sleep and your wearable data. It's all pulled into one source so that everything is personalized and your journey is as streamlined as possible to get you to your goals. And then of course there's content, right? I mean, we're seeing, from a marketing standpoint, AI generated content is a lot cheaper, a lot faster to produce. From a digital marketing perspective, you can test out campaigns in a matter of seconds versus a matter of days or weeks. So it's all accelerating really fast, but it's overwhelming. And I think that's the biggest thing is a lot of operators might be listening to this and be like, fellas, like what, you just spat out like 10 different things that I should be doing. But I think the biggest thing right now is isolating where the biggest need is. And then finding the right tools for that first and going from there. So hopefully I didn't freak everybody out. Hold on, guys. We have a lot more to talk about.
Yeah, no, hang in there. Couple of really interesting points you talked about there. I really can't wait to dive in about the online reviews. I was chatting with Jeremy Fishkill from Instinctive Insights, and he thinks there's about 15% of search now comes directly from a ChatGPT or whatever AI platform you're using. And so I don't know, and I don't know if anyone really knows, I think we're going to go back to blogging. I think there'll have to be blogs on websites using the words that people are going to put into ChatGPT, because ChatGPT will scroll the web for those keywords.
Yeah. It's, at some point it's just going to be AIs talking to AIs, right? And that's
right.
That's a weird world. I mean, ultimately, no one really knows how this is going to play out. And, I wish I was one of those people, JT, who is extremely confident and optimistic about AI. But the fact of the matter is, like, I have no monetary gain in developing AI technology. So I'm not going to sit here and tell the world that it's all going to be rosy and everything's going to work out great, because I don't know if that's true or not. And I don't think anyone really knows how this is all going to play out. But all I know is it's happening way faster than we thought, but no one can really guess. And your guess is as good as mine. So yeah, blogs may be the next big thing. I don't know, but we're going to find out.
I think one of the interesting things, Eric, when you talked about the hyper personalization, is as an industry, we do lag a little bit in that space. Would you agree with that?
I think so. Yeah. And I don't know if there's anybody who's really leading the way. I mean, there's Superpower, I think, is the name of a company that's raising some money recently, and they're looking to be that kind of big thing. I think eGym is investing a lot, and obviously I have a lot of faith in the people at eGym and what they're doing, and their genius AI and kind of sits on top of everything. But people are very working on it. I just don't know if anybody's come out and really planted a flag and said, we're the best, we're the ones we're go to. No one's become the Kleenex of the category yet, right? So that's an interesting little race to follow as we're going, into the next few months.
And I think when we talk AI, one of my observations is our members experience AI personalization from big companies, the Amazons, the Spotifys, the Netflix. And so their expectations on us, perhaps unrealistically, are raised saying, well, why can't you tell me what workout to do based on the workout that I did yesterday as workouts that people then normally follow? I think this is the challenge that our industry has to get our head around, is that members' expectations are being shaped by companies who have much larger budgets than us and much deeper pockets for research than us. But nevertheless, they still have that expectation. And that's why I agree with you. That personalization and hyper personalization is what's going to make us sticky with our consumers.
Well, one of the things that saved us as an industry so far, JT, is we're not big enough. Like in some ways, like you look at Apple, like why hasn't Apple come in and completely owned fitness? Because it's not it's just not big enough, right?
Yeah.
It's not worth the resources yet. Can they? Yeah, they could do it in a week. Why hasn't Salesforce come in and just dominated the CRM world? Because it's just not big enough for them. So I think in some ways we're protected due to that. But as we kind of increase and maybe, as our industry keeps, shaking their pom-poms and saying we're going to be at the head of healthcare, the forefront of healthcare, like, maybe we get more attention if that actually comes to fruition. But I think that's an interesting thing. I mean, yeah, it's like if the consumer expectations are so rich, right? Like a great example is I had someone on my podcast, I don't know if you have these in Australia, but they're called Redbox. So it's a place where you could go and you could rent a DVD for a night, right? It's just these little standalone machines outside of like.
We're still on VHS videos in Australia. What's this thing you call a DVD?
Right. They're magnificent. Yeah, I can't wait for you to try one. When you come to the States, I'll show you one. But you know what? Their kid was trying to get the Redbox and was trying to swipe the screen, right? She was 5 and it was still a push button. And that just goes to show you, like, as younger generations come up, their expectations for technology, it's just a great example of like, we have to kind of keep up with that. And, I think what I've seen so far of like an eGym Genius AI is very promising, right? Okay, well, we got wearable statistics. We got all these things that kind of feed into it so that, a lot of the groundwork, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this as a trainer or a coach or someone who's doing the design of the workouts is lifted, right? You don't have to be burdened by that stuff. So we'll see, man. I know there's a lot of very smart people working on this.
Let's sort of dive into that. What sort of skills do you think gym owners and managers, let's not do the trainers just yet, but what skills do you think gym owners and managers need to develop in order for AI to work for them?
Biggest thing is like, I'll address it the same way I did when wearable technology started coming out. And this was like when I was still a gym owner. My biggest suggestion is, first of all, just use it. Like, you should have whatever your, ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, Grok, whatever it is, you should have it open every day and you should be using it daily, right? You just start to realize like, oh, there's a lot of different things. And, having little, hate to say it's weird to say, but having little conversations with your AI, right? Creating it. I created my own RoboDoc. I call it Eric's RoboDoc. It has all my blood samples and blood work and like my genetic testing and all that stuff. And I, it feeds me suggestions on different things I should be doing. So there's like little things you can do. Just use it in general. And I think the other thing is like human resources is going to be really critical, because the human experience and keeping humans, high quality staff members here and sticking to your brand and with you for a long time. We all know it's a tremendous, challenge of retention at the employee level. So I think that's a big focus, is like, how do you get better and better and incorporate technology into your staff and train them on it, make them feel good about it, and make them understand why you're doing it. You're not trying to replace them, right? That's a big part of it. And then also identifying where the biggest needs are. So that was a big thing that came up for many of the panels that I've done recently, is that you can't start with it all. You can't use it all at once, right? So you have to kind of address the biggest needs. Like, is it retention? Probably for most people, right? So go find a tool like V or Keep Me or one of these other ones where it's like, okay, this is a very specific retention tool. We're going to address that here. We're going to stop the leaking as best we can. Or like the Google reviews, Taylor Nakamura from Fit19, which is a regional gym in Southern California, like, he went straight to Google reviews. He realized that was a huge source of lead generation. So they addressed that. So I think everyone's going to have different things that they need to address within their business, and the creativity of identifying those and then finding the right tools to address them is going to be a very important skill.
Can I add in there a layer of patience? Because our
Sure.
industry is often like our members want instant gratification, and AI is about machine learning. It's got to learn what you want. So you have to be patient with that. It learns from you. I love what you said, but I'm going to add in patience at the end. What about the trainers? Where do trainers sit in this process? I loved what you said, because you said you upload all your bloods and information. That's got to be a huge asset to you, but also something trainers could be looking at, surely.
For sure. Now, the risk with that is the data reliability, right? So with all this stuff is, machine learning, it's only as good as the data it gets. So if it's getting, bad data from wherever, the interwebs somewhere, then you have to set the parameters on it or feed it the data internally to make sure that it's useful. So, when I look at the trainer, I coached for a long time, and there was a lot of things. I spent most of my Sundays programming. right? So I would just do my program design for my individual coaching clients. And, you know, at first it started, it was innocuous. It was like, well, I just do an hour in the morning. And then as my client roster built, I'm like, I'm doing this all day on Sundays and then back to work on Monday, right? And what would happen, and this is, I'm sure a lot of people listening will understand.
Did you just hear that? That was like
No.
1 million trainers around the world going, shit, that's me too. Sundays writing programs.
Yeah, I don't know why it was Sundays. It was the only free day. So stuff like that. And then what would happen, right, is you would have a client who, sorry, Eric, I forgot I'm traveling next week. Or, man, you know, I sprained my ankle playing soccer, you know, on Wednesday with my league. Like things happen and then the programming has to get tweaked and then again and again. And then, you know, maybe you're not monitoring or they come in, you don't have, or you could have access now to their wearable data. So you see that they're highly fatigued or overtrained. So all these things that would take a ton of time normally can be done like that, right? And they can be done very quickly, very efficiently. So I think, you know, you can apply this saying to just about everything right now, that AI won't replace coaches and trainers, but coaches and trainers that use AI will replace all the others. So you can now have a very qualified coach who can now do not just 10 or 20 clients, but now can do 100 at scale and then focus on the most important things, which is the relationships, the empathy, the motivation, right? The just strong human relationships and creating a great experience. I think ultimately, you know, fitness needs to be a great experience for people because it's not that fun. Can we all be honest? Like fitness isn't always fun. It's something you got to check off your list, you know, on a daily basis or weekly basis. Sometimes it's uncomfortable but you get some reward at the end, but it's usually long-term goals that, you know, 90 days out that you're going to achieve. So it's not always the most motivating thing. So creating a great experience, having a great relationship with your clients is something that I think you can take all that time back that you would be doing all the processes and monotonous things. And that's going to become the opportunity to scale up as a great coach. So I'm hoping that's where it's going. It seems like that's where it's going.
I really love that answer. And I'd challenge anybody that's listening to replace the time that you would do with programming with improving your own personal soft skills of communication. Because the AI will help the program, but your communication and how you have empathy, your emotional intelligence can never be replaced by AI. How you tell someone to literally squat and improve their squat technique, that will definitely always sit in the hands of the actual trainer, I would suggest. I don't know. There could be a robot that does it, but I think a person-to-person, belly-to-belly is much better.
Yeah. You know, I haven't experienced yet, but I think Arnold Schwarzenegger has his own training app that's like in his voice, right? So it's like an audio-based training app. I forget what it's called. I haven't tried it, but someone telling me it's amazing. So it's like, you know, there's certain experiential things, like who wouldn't want Arnold Schwarzenegger pumping you up in your earphones while you're doing a workout? That's really cool. But, you know, I think people understand what's real and what's not.
Where do you think we're missing the mark with AI and how we run our businesses?
Siphoning through the noise. There's a lot of noise.
Yes, great.
When it comes to artificial intelligence, I think there's a lot of pressure, right? Where people are like, oh man, I got to do something. I got to try it. I got to be doing it. Someone else is using it down the street. They're going to get a competitive advantage, or I'm going to be left behind. That's the biggest thing, right? We all think we're going to get left behind. And I don't know if we will or not, but I can tell you right now, panicking, right, and rushing into things just to be using AI for the sake of AI is not the right thing. We really have to isolate in your specific business, in your specific workflow, in your specific situation, like what is the biggest problem that AI can solve right now, and starting with that. So I think it's just, like you said, it's a little bit of patience. It's a little bit of urgency as well, but in the right direction and just finding the right things that are right for you, not because someone down the street is using a tool and you feel like you need to use it. So I don't know if that makes sense, but I think it's just being very specific with your problem and addressing it quickly and accurately.
Time to name drop, Eric. Give us some of the really cool AI products that you've seen out there that are either industry-based or non-industry-based that you think, you know, if you were opening a gym as an example, what would you want in there? What's some of that AI stuff? I'm guessing eGym's in there.
Yeah, they're in there.
Good.
They're in there for sure. V is in there. Let's say if you're a gym owner, they would be able to identify when your member has searched another gym locally, right? And that identifies and flags so that you can, you know, get in front of things before they happen. So, you know, from a acquisition of new clients to getting people more engaged and maybe like upselling to personal training or group classes or whatever it may be. And then if finally retention, I think that's a very powerful thing that's well worth the investment. I think from a hardware perspective, like if I was going to build out a little studio, I'm a huge fan of Tonal. I've had one for many years. I'm always thinking about like, how can I use this in a commercial setting? Because it's so simple, right? It's so easy to use. It's clean. You don't have to move weights around. It's smart. You don't have to remember what weights you're doing for each particular movement. I've seen them do their little pop-up experiment in New York earlier this year where they had I think it was 2 or 3 months, they had a tonal studio led by coaches and, community. It looked really interesting to me. So, and then of course, eGym, if I'm going to, do more of a larger health club model, I think eGym technology is amazing, right? It's very easy to use. Very easy is personalized journey, and they have the eGym AI, Genius AI on top of it. Yeah. And the retention acquisition stuff, I think V is, kind of head and shoulders above the rest right now. Now, the other one I was thinking about, and maybe you have an answer for this, is the actual client experience. And I know Genius AI is working on that. I haven't seen anybody really come to the forefront yet of like taking all that experience, whether, it's the personalized data from wearables and sleep and like everything that you could possibly have on someone, their goals and their nutrition, and then just step by step being the one coach in their phone, in their pocket, that's going to lead the whole thing. I haven't seen that yet, but I want to see it successfully implemented. I know there's kind of a race going on, I think, for something like that. So that would be the big stuff. I mean, those are the big ones that I really like. I think I mentioned Superpower just raised a bunch of money to do something similar. So I think those are the big ones, man. Those are some of my favorite brands.
V.co, V.ai.
vi.co.
We'll put all those links in the show notes so you guys can all check them out. Eric, this is a fascinating conversation around AI. If you had a crystal ball, what do you think is going to happen in our industry with AI? Is it going to get down to the grassroots? Is it just going to stay at your big brands? Or is it going to take years? What are your thoughts?
Here's what I'm hoping for,
Ooh,
JT,
like that.
is that, this year I'm sure you've seen it, a lot of fitness industry events. Everyone is talking about our big opportunity. And here in the States, there's a governmental, the government seems to have in favor of the MAHA movement and, making America healthy again. And there seems to be something in the political climate that may be shifting to empower more of our population to be healthy. And fitness, the industry feels that we have a right to win to step out into the front of preventative healthcare. Now, we believe it as an industry. I don't know if anybody is even watching us outside of our industry. Like, I don't know if that's happening.
A really good point.
What we need, it's sobering, right? It's like, I think like I go around, I'm like, yeah, I want that too. But then it's like, well, first of all, I haven't seen anyone really put forth a model that makes sense. I mean, you see some of these bigger companies, you see, Jeff Sweefel with the Muir program at Lifetime, and, he's pushing towards longevity, which is really preventative healthcare, right? And then you see Dr. Gloria Winters, what she's doing at YMCA, and she's laying the groundwork of digital health. It's kind of how she's starting to describe building the house. So I think there's these models coming out. AI is going to be a huge part of that. If we can rightfully get out in front of it and position ourselves in the right way with the right model and the right voices, then, health clubs and gyms can be at the forefront of healthcare. Why not? Right? And we serve a lot of people in the community. I mean, I live in a town of 8,000 people. There's 9,000 members in my gym. I don't know how that math works out, but there's a lot of people coming in and out of my gym. So, I think that's what I hope for. What's really going to happen, I can't even speculate, man. I can't even speculate. Some days I wake up super excited about the potential for AI. Other days I'm horrified. I listen to the Sean Ryan show podcast, and sometimes I listen to that, and people, I can't recommend that you do, but if you want to take the red pill, not the blue pill, then, that's a show to listen to. So I don't know, man, but that's what I hope for. And we'll see over the next few years, but I think it's going to happen much faster than people imagine.
It's funny, at the time we're recording this, just the other day, I heard it was 9,900 odd days since the beginning of the century, 2020. And we were smack bang in the middle of we are now on the downhill run to 2050. And it's like, oh my gosh, when you think about that, everything that's happened in the last 25 years and the speed at which it's now happening, where are we going to be in another 25 years? Just in society, forget about our industry, but in society, it's hard to fathom and mind-boggling, isn't it?
It is. I heard this example with the Wright brothers, right? 100 years ago, they built the first plane. Did they have any idea, or anyone during that time have any idea that we'd be flying transatlantic flights, right? Commercial, No. But did they also have any idea that we'd be dropping bombs from drones? So it's like, no, they didn't. So you have positives and negatives to every bit of technology that's coming forth. I think in less than that, 10 to 15 years, our lives are going to be wholly recognizable to the people we are now, to people who will be then. I think it's going to have that major of an impact. And frankly, like the thing it is, like, I don't think we have any say in it. I think it's just happening. There's very few people in the world who are actually developing, this level of intelligence, and whether we like it or not, we're kind of on for the ride. So hopefully it all works out, man. I don't know if that's positive or not for people, but that's all I can say.
Let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's bring it home with bringing it back just for 12 months' time. If I'm a gym owner, and I think one of the cool things is that you were a gym owner, so it's easy for you to be empathetic and walk more than a mile in their shoes. If you're a gym owner and you want to make 2026 your best year ever, what's one thing they should start doing today?
Yeah, great question. I'm going to scan a blanket. I mean, one of the biggest issues we've had for the gym industry since its inception is retention, right? Let's be frank. Like, we're not selling hamburgers and French fries. Like, we're selling showing up, sweating, doing the work, right? Reaching your goals. It's a process. So, I think retention and then incorporation of GLP-1s, I don't know what it's like in Australia, but really learning how to coincide. Those aren't going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. Like, there's 36 new versions of GLP-1s coming to market in the next 12 months. So if you think that's going anywhere, 1 out of 8 Americans is on it. Like, I think that's the big thing is like, focus on retention, focus on some of these GLP-1 opportunities that are out there, if depending on what country you live in, what those regulations are. But I think those are two things that I think are mission critical right now.
Yeah, that's great advice. It's been a pleasure, Eric. As always, catching up. It's been fascinating to watch from the sidelines your growth and what you've done. Congratulations on everything with the Future of Fitness podcast. Again, we'll put the links in the notes for the show. Mate, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolute pleasure. And thanks again, JT. This was a real honor. So pleasure's all mine.
I really enjoyed just chatting with Eric, and I hope you loved his insights. He shared all sorts of things on our industry and where we are heading. Interesting that he mentioned exercise as medicine after our last episode with Lisa. If you missed it, episode 547. Trusted suppliers this episode from Rex Roundtables are Matrix, commercial fitness equipment, technology and programming. Performance Foods, providing turnkey smoothie bar solutions for gyms. MyZone, monitoring, tracking and enhancing fitness through heart rates. MX Metrics, analysing and improving gyms through member metrics. And Max Members, automating member management and engagement.
And the code word for this episode is Future of Fitness. Go to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com/code word for your chance to win a $100 Amazon gift voucher. Use the word Future of Fitness.
It's about now I start planning season 5. And I'd love you to recommend guests or topics that would enhance your business or your leadership. Obviously, we're still trying to get Simon Sinek, but send me a wish list of guests and topics. Just email me, jt@fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Remember, you can trial being an FBP Insider this season with a 7-day free trial. Go to patreon.com/fitnessbusinesspodcast or see the link in the show notes and then just follow the steps. Now, our free online events continue with Blair McCaney from MX Metrics talking about how listening to your members will build retention. At the date of recording, there are 6 webinars already available for you to watch on replay, and you're going to get access to all of them as at FBP Insider. Remember, 7 days free. So go to patreon.com/fitnessbusinesspodcast. Now, I'm going to catch you in episode 549 with Rachel Russo. She's an industry outsider who shares what conscious leadership is and how our teams are going to benefit from you practicing it. Show 549, dropping real soon. What we leave behind is not set in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.